All right, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Today we're going to be diving into the world of luxury yacht automation and
That gets fancy.
oh yeah, we're talking high tech and high end.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at Crestron systems as seen through the lens of Concord Marine Electronics.
So using their materials as a jumping off point. Gotcha.
Exactly. And whether you're, a serious tech enthusiast or just someone who's maybe daydreamed about having like a super yacht.
Who hasn't?
Right. One that magically anticipates your every need. I think you'll get a lot out of this deep dive.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
Because even if the source material is, well, let's face it, promotional.
It is, very much so.
It gives us a chance to explore how the whole concept of smart home tech is being, adapted and maybe even pushed further in this very unique environment of a yacht.
Absolutely. So before we get into like the real nitty gritty of it all, let's set the scene a little bit.
Okay.
Imagine you're on this incredible yacht.
All right, I'm there.
But we're not just talking about beautiful views and, the open ocean and all of that.
More than meets the eye.
Yeah, there's this whole complex network of systems underneath it all.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Entertainment, lighting, climate control, even motorized window shades. Like, can you imagine managing all of that separately?
Sounds like a full-time job.
Right.
Yeah.
Even on vacation, that sounds like a recipe for a massive headache.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And it really highlights this idea that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
As these systems get more complex, whether we're talking yachts or just high-end homes, the need for this kind of centralized control, it becomes less of a luxury and more just like a basic need.
Almost a necessity. Right.
Exactly.
And that brings us to Crestron. Because Concord is really hyping them up. Like, they call them the gold standard. They promise control at your fingertips.
Catchy slogans.
But, I always get a little skeptical when I hear marketing speak like that. So what does that actually mean?
Right. Beyond the hype.
Yeah, like what makes Crestron different from, say, just having a bunch of, really fancy remote controls?
Good question.
Yeah.
So what sets Crestron apart is really this ability to integrate all these different separate systems into one unified platform.
So it's not just about controlling each thing individually.
It's more like you're orchestrating an entire experience.
Oh, I like that. So it's not just, turning lights on and off.
Right.
It's about creating a mood, an ambiance.
Exactly.
Concord mentions these personalized lighting scenes, which sounds pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that's a good example.
Can you give us like a real world example of what that might actually look like?
Sure. Imagine you're, let's say, hosting a dinner party on the deck of your yacht.
Nice.
With Crestron, you could pre-program this very specific lighting scene just for that occasion.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe you want like the underwater lights to have that soft blue glow.
Yeah.
The deck lights dimmed for a romantic vibe, and then maybe spotlights to highlight, artwork or
architectural details.
Right, exactly. And all of this could be activated with like a single tap on a touch screen.
Wow.
Or even a voice command if you wanted.
So that's definitely a step up from just like a dimmer switch, right?
A little more advanced, yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of like thought and planning that goes into designing and programming these systems.
Absolutely.
But how does it actually, like technically speaking, how does Crestron communicate with all the different devices on a yacht?
That's where Crestron programming comes in.
Okay.
It's not just installing hardware. It's about writing custom code that tells all these systems how to interact.
So you need someone who really knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This is not something I'm going to be doing in my spare time.
Probably not a DIY project.
Crestron uses a bunch of different communication protocols, but I know one of the most common is something called CresNet.
Right, that's their proprietary network.
And that allows all these devices from like the lighting controls to the audio-visual equipment to talk to each other.
And talk seamlessly.
Without any hiccups.
Exactly.
So this is where companies like Concord Marine Electronics come in, right?
Yeah, they have certified Crestron programmers, people specifically trained to design and implement these systems.
It's a whole specialty.
It really is.
So you're not just paying for the hardware, you're paying for the expertise to make it all work together.
It's a package deal.
And of course, we're talking about yachts here.
A unique environment.
So you need a system that can handle the challenges, right? I'm thinking salt spray, humidity, maybe even power fluctuations from the generator?
All things to consider.
How does Crestron hold up in those conditions?
That's a critical point.
Yeah.
Crestron is known for its robust systems, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The marine environment throws in some curveballs. Power management, for example, is huge.
Yeah, okay.
Yachts rely on generators a lot, which can lead to, inconsistencies in power supply. Crestron's designed to handle those fluctuations gracefully.
So less chance of the movie cutting out in the middle of a dramatic scene, right?
Exactly. Built-in surge protection and backup power options. Peace of mind.
That's good to know. What about things like internet connectivity? Out on the open ocean, you're not always going to have that stable Wi-Fi signal.
You're right.
Does that limit what you can do with a Crestron system?
That's where things get really interesting. While internet, of course, expands what you can do, Crestron systems can work on their own too.
Oh, okay.
So even if you lose satellite internet, you can still control all those essential systems, lighting, climate, directly through the yacht's local network.
That's smart.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to be totally helpless if you're out of range of a cell tower.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how powerful Crestron is and how it can handle tough conditions.
Real tough.
But what about the customization? How much can you really personalize these systems? Is it really as bespoke as they claim?
It's a good question, and that's honestly where Crestron really shines. Let's take climate control, for instance. You can create different zones throughout the yacht, each with its own temperature settings.
So no more arguing over the thermostat. I can already see this preventing some heated discussions on board.
Exactly. And you can go even further with it. Like, imagine you want the master suite to be, let's say, a cool 68 degrees at night.
Okay.
But you prefer to warm up to 72 just before you wake up.
Ah, like a gentle wake-up call.
Yeah, Crestron can handle that kind of scheduling, no problem.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. It's like having a personal butler for temperature.
Anticipating your every need.
Exactly. But let's shift gears for a second, talk about entertainment.
Okay.
Because Concord also mentions these personalized entertainment setups. What does that even mean?
Think of it this way. You're not limited to just one audio source or a TV in the main salon anymore.
Right.
With Crestron, you can have multiple entertainment zones throughout the entire yacht.
Oh, that's cool.
So maybe you want to watch a movie on the sun deck
Okay.
while someone else is enjoying a concert in the salon.
At the same time.
Exactly.
Wow.
Or say you're having a party and want music playing across multiple decks, all in sync.
Okay, this is starting to sound seriously futuristic.
It's all about options.
So you're telling me I could be like sunbathing on the deck, listening to my favorite podcast while someone else is, I don't know, jamming out to a completely different playlist in the cabin below.
Seamlessly. That's the whole point.
That is pretty amazing. And it goes beyond just audio, right?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine you have a collection of digital artwork or even family photos.
Yeah.
You could display those on screens throughout the yacht.
Like a personalized gallery.
Exactly. Something that reflects your own taste, your experiences.
Now that's what I call luxury redefined. It's not just about having the most expensive gadgets. It's about using technology to create like a truly unique and personal experience.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But let's get back to, the real world for a second. We've been talking about Crestron like it's the only game in town.
Right.
But are there other players in this yacht automation space? Is it really a one-horse race?
Good point. Crestron is a major player, but they're not the only one. Another big name is Savant.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
They're known for their user interface, very sleek, and they integrate really well with Apple products.
So if you're an Apple person...
Yeah, they're often seen as the more design-focused option compared to Crestron.
Interesting. So there are some choices out there.
There are.
It wouldn't be a true deep dive if we didn't at least acknowledge that.
For sure.
But I'm curious, if you were actually choosing between Crestron and Savant for a yacht, what would you be thinking about? What factors would matter most?
I think the first thing would be the yacht owner, right? Their needs, their preferences.
Of course. Yeah.
If they're all about Apple products, Savant might be the way to go.
Makes sense.
But if they really want that deep customization and integration with tons of devices, then maybe Crestron is the better choice.
So it's not just about the brand name, it's about finding the system that actually fits your needs and your tech ecosystem.
You got it.
Let's talk big picture for a minute. Concord keeps hinting at this future of yacht automation.
It's an exciting time.
It does sound like things are going to get even more, sophisticated, more integrated. What are you seeing on the horizon? What are the big trends?
That's where it gets really interesting. We're seeing this convergence of automation, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, all coming together.
Wow, okay.
Imagine a yacht that doesn't just respond to your commands, but actually anticipates your needs based on your habits.
Hold on, are you saying, like, the yacht could learn my favorite cocktail and have it ready at sunset?
It's not that far-fetched.
Yeah.
We're already seeing smart fridges that can track your groceries and suggest recipes.
Yeah, that's true.
Applying that kind of AI to a yacht. Totally logical next step.
That's both impressive and a little bit creepy, to be honest.
I get it.
But in a luxury setting, yeah, I can see the appeal.
It's that personalized touch.
What about safety and security? With all these systems connected, maybe even accessible remotely.
You're raising a good point.
Are there any risks that come with that?
Absolutely. Cybersecurity becomes a huge deal. As these systems get more complex, more interconnected, you have to think about that. Yacht owners need to work with installers who really prioritize security and put in strong safeguards to prevent, unauthorized access, data breaches, all that.
So it's not just about having the coolest gadgets, it's about making sure those gadgets are actually protected.
Security is paramount.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But going back to those future trends, what else do you see happening in yacht automation?
One area that's really cool is the integration of automation with the yacht's navigation and environmental systems.
Okay.
Imagine a system that can automatically adjust lighting, climate control, based on where the sun is.
So it's optimizing for energy efficiency.
Comfort.
So the yacht could actually become more eco-friendly through smarter automation.
Exactly. We might even see systems that use weather forecasts, to automatically adjust window shades or close hatches if a storm's coming.
That's pretty wild.
It's about using tech to enhance safety, comfort, and even sustainability.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. Personalized lighting, AI butlers, eco-friendly yachts.
The future is now.
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing, honestly. But before we get too carried away with these futuristic visions, I want to bring things back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
All of this sounds amazing, but is there a downside to all this automation? Are we losing something in pursuit of this seamless tech-driven experience? I mean, it's easy to get caught up in all the bells and whistles.
Oh, for sure.
But it's important to at least consider, the potential trade-offs. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think one thing to be aware of is the risk of maybe becoming too reliant on technology. If a system malfunctions, it's good to have at least a basic understanding of how things work so you're not totally stuck.
So it's kind of like relying too much on GPS, right? You might get there faster, but you lose the chance to, learn how to read a map or develop your own sense of direction.
That's a great analogy. It's about finding the right balance, I think, embracing the convenience, but not losing that self-sufficiency.
And what about the cost? All this tech, it can't be cheap. Is this something the average boat owner can even think about, or is it strictly for the super yacht set?
That's a fair question. Systems like Crestron and Savant, they are definitely on the higher end.
Okay.
But you don't need a mega yacht to benefit from some automation,
Right.
There are more affordable options out there for basic control over things like lighting, climate, entertainment.
So it's not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's about finding what works for your budget and your needs.
So if someone is interested in these top-of-the-line systems, like Crestron, what advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I'd say do your research. Talk to different installers, compare the systems, really understand the pros and cons. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You want to be sure of what you're getting into.
It's a big investment, right? Just like you wouldn't buy a car without test driving it first.
Exactly.
You shouldn't commit to a whole automation system without doing your homework.
For sure. And once you've picked a system, make sure you're working with a good installer.
Okay, yeah.
Someone with experience in these kinds of projects. Because the installation, that can make a huge difference in how well the system actually works.
It's all connected, right? You're not just buying gadgets, you're buying an experience.
It's a whole package.
Yeah.
But beyond the technical side, I think it's interesting to think about the human element, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How do yacht crews adapt to these increasingly automated environments? What do you think about that?
It's a good question. I imagine it's a lot of, ongoing education and training, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As systems get more complex, crews need new skills to manage and maintain them.
So it's not just about knowing how to use a touch screen, it's about understanding the whole system.
Exactly, and being able to troubleshoot if something goes wrong.
I guess there's a psychological shift that needs to happen too, right?
Yeah, crews need to see this technology as a tool that can help them, not replace them.
It's about finding that balance again.
It always comes back to balance, doesn't it?
Well, we've covered so much today, the technical stuff, the future of AI, the human side of it all. What are some key takeaways you hope our listeners are walking away with?
I think the big takeaway is that yacht automation is more than just a luxury.
Okay.
It's a field that's really evolving
Yeah.
with the potential to make things safer, more comfortable, more efficient, even more sustainable.
And it's constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology, which is exciting.
For sure.
But as we embrace these innovations, we've got to be mindful of the human side of things, too,
Couldn't agree more.
making sure that technology is serving us, not the other way around.
It's about finding that sweet spot where tech enhances our experience, but doesn't take away our control.
Well said. On that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of yacht automation. I hope you all found this as fascinating as we did.
It's been a pleasure. And for our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.
Until next time, happy